Hi crypto kings and queens, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalie. In today's episode, I will go through Bitcoin in detail from the 1 yearly chart to the 2 monthly chart, to the weekly chart, to the daily chart, to the 4 hourly chart. And I'll show you exactly why we could potentially come back down to 25,200 if we are seeing that we are respecting these levels and see that we will create a lower high. Potentially we have to break obviously the support, but we can definitely be taken back down to this level. Doesn't have to happen. I'm just gonna show you why this could happen. Okay, remember, I'm no financial advisor. You need to look up everything yourself first, but please continue looking at this video and I'll show you why I see this on Bitcoin, and I'll show you a short analysis of Ethereum. So I'm gonna do a full analyze right now on Bitcoin. We are going directly to the 12 monthly chart. What I did was that I took a fib from the lowest point to the highest point just to potentially see where we could come back down to. This doesn't have to happen. We're going to the monthly chart, and I will also use a trend line looking like this, guys. Okay, looking like this because we're using it from where we saw the market breaking to the upside, we saw the pullback, then we did break the trend line. Okay, going to this 3 weekly chart, obviously we can see that we are having a low right here, so we have to break this low at 33,600 in case we're coming back down. And so this doesn't have to happen, but just in case, just by following market structure and Fibonacci levels on different levels, just to see if we're breaking this level, in case we can definitely come back down to 25k if that is the case. Okay, so we're going to the 2 weekly chart just to make sure what we're looking at, and going directly to the weekly because I didn't see anything special. Okay, so looking at this, guys, so ignore the fact that we did have these two bodies breaking the trend line because that is the wicks that we're having on the higher time frames. Okay, so we saw the market breaking this level, and we did have a head and shoulders right here. Market goes back down, so head and shoulders, a bearish reversal pattern that shows us that market will continue back down. We are also having a previous support or the neckline of around this level. We can also use this support because we had a fake out from this level. We were here as a support also, so we can, it depends. But look at this, guy. So when we're taking a Fibonacci from where we saw the break to the low, you were taking a fib from 50,779, I think it was, and then we're taking it to the lowest point right here, and that is combined exactly to almost exactly where the support is or the neckline is. But we're using the Fibonacci because the Fibonacci is super important, guys. Okay, so if we're going down to the lower time frames right now, we can see that we are heading up to this target. Okay, and this was also the last lower low that we're having. So for the market to break to the upside, we are using another trend line, guys. Okay, so we can see the market is creating lower lows and lower highs a bit below this trend line, and we saw the push to the downside. So you saw the market creating a lower low, lower high, lower low, and potentially now we can create another lower high if we're not breaking this previous lower high right here, because if we're breaking that level, we're definitely continuing to the upside. But as long as we're below that level, we can still be very bearish. So we just need to see, I'm just taking everything from the highest time frames, just trying to puzzle everything together. It doesn't have to happen. But if we are seeing that this week that we're having another push to the upside and we're coming to 43,500 or 45,200, and we potentially see the market breaking, give us bearish reversal patterns against that level. Can you see also how the Fibonacci that I'm having at the moment is combined exactly with the higher time frames Fibonacci that we took on the year? Can you see that 12 month? Can you see how this is in line with each other? So if we're seeing a pullback to that level and we say bounce to the downside, everything is just connected in some way, right? It doesn't have to happen, but if it happens, please guys, just have this in mind. Just have this in mind when you see everyone speaking about being bullish, if this happens, you know why, because this is just technical analysis. It doesn't have to happen. It can definitely happen by following market structure, but obviously if we are coming to these levels, these Fibonacci levels right here, we see the bounce to the downside. We need to break this super strong support that we're having, and we need to see, I mean, obviously breakout, potentially retest. But if we are breaking this support, we are definitely coming back down to these targets. We can also come back down to 20.2 in that bounce to the upside, because the higher time frames, that is the higher low that could potentially be created. Doesn't have to happen, guys. Don't shoot me now. I'm just giving you what I potentially can see. I'm just playing around with the charts a little bit just to make sure that I am not following the hype about that the market is going up. I'm just trying to just see it for what it is. I'm just trying to do it everything very, very technical. Then something can happen. Obviously, we can just continue to the upside, but it does make sense by just following price action, market structure, and everything, guys. So this was just so we just have to wait and see what's gonna happen. And looking at the weekly chart, this is the last lower high, lower low after this lower low, right? And usually what happens that you can come up and retest the previous lower low, create a lower high, and then market continues back down. And if we're breaking this last lower low, we need to surpass this previous week that we're having. But guys, as always, it doesn't have to happen. Could possibly do that, but we just have to wait and see how market is gonna behave around for the 3,400, 500, and for the 5,200 if this is happening. Okay, we're looking at Ethereum on the Bybit chart, and we are still, just since yesterday, we haven't done anything special. We are still bouncing below and above the 61% on Ethereum. We can potentially see a break back down to 50%. And yeah, guys, so same thing here. If we are taking this one away, if we're really retesting this level and we see the market continuing to the upside, I am still looking at 3,300 to see if we are continuing to the upside or if we're actually doing the same thing, or potential. Of course, we will do almost the same thing that on Bitcoin and see a push to the downside, because the higher time frames, this is the last lower high that we're having. So we are still in a downtrend if we're coming up to that level. And the only thing that we want to do is to see if we're breaking it or if we're actually retesting it, comes back down and continuation to the downside. I am not bullish until we're breaking these levels, just the same as on Bitcoin. If we're not breaking this previous lower high and see clear breakout, because usually what happens, as I always say, is that we can see fake out and then market comes back down again and continues to the downside. So I'm still very, sometimes you just have to wait, because, either we are holding this resistance, trend line resistance, bounce back down, or we're coming up to this level at this previous lower high, either break it, comes back down. We're still above this support trend line. As long as we're that, we are continuing to the upside, and we just might have to change it a little bit. It depends on if we're seeing a pullback where that leg could end. We're having this previous high, also this previous resistance, almost the previous higher high. Potentially what we see is, or usually what we see is, that we're having a bounce back down, and you can see that the 61% is just combined exactly where that previous high is. So if we're seeing the market coming back down to that level, that is definitely a sign that we just might push to the upside again. But the resistance trend lines is super important that to have, and it looks like we're closing with this doji above it. So that is a breakout retest, but I still want to see how on the higher time frames how the market is behaving. So nothing more special than to the video that I was speaking about Ethereum yesterday. Remember, on Bybit you can receive a bonus up to $4,100 for Bitcoinsensus. You're having the link in the description down below this video. Claim this bonus, and you are also supporting Bitcoinsensus channel by doing that. Thank you so much, guys, for looking at this video together with me. Comment below if you did enjoy it, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so you always know when I'm having my live stream or daily updates, okay? Have a good day. I'm super happy today. I'm going to bed now. Yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow. Mwah, from Sweden.